Good afternoon, everybody. And on today's episode of PincheAls Garage, we're going to pull the control arms and subframe today, and then we're going to work on getting pretty much everything underneath the car pulled out to get it all ready for all the new hardware that's coming in. So, as always, we break, fix, and repeat because this is PincheAls Garage. Alright, so on this little old car, got a lot of things to look at and wonder. Well, you notice the calipers aren't here because we're doing the Corrado brake upgrade, so I had to send my old calipers to AutoZone for core exchange. So the brake removal, caliper removal, there's only 2 bolts and one bolt that goes to the brake line itself, which is right here. We're replacing all the lines as well. Even the hard lines we're going to be replacing. I got to start practicing how to do these so I can make my own lines. So first things first, we need to get the control arms off and the tie rods. So if we come right over here, the control arms are like a Mark IV. If you've ever done one before, there's just 3 bolts down here for the ball joint. There's a bolt right here for the actual control arm going across, and then same thing on the back end of it, a bolt that goes underneath. That pretty much takes off the control arm, so let's get to work and get that off of there. So over here there's 13 millimeters. This is a 19 mil bolt here for the sway bar, and you can push that out by finger, by hand. There's a bushing that goes in here. So I'm going to have to check that out and see if that came with my new kit. We got to remember these parts that come out. So now we got to get the actual control arm bolts right here. Let's see what size they use. They don't look like a typical 19 there. 19 down below as well, and they're bolted in, so good thing I got my breaker bar. Now they're both 19 millimeters for the control arms. Once you break them loose, get your socket and then take them off. And as always, and I always keep telling you guys this every single time, every bolt you take off, get yourself a sandwich bag, tag it and bag it, because you'll lose stuff and then you're going to be all mad or trying to figure out where stuff goes. Make your life easier. Tag them. Look at that. It's got liquid in here. God knows how long that's been in there for. that's it for that. So now it's got a bunch of grime in here, so it's gonna be kind of tricky to yank out. It's got old axle grease in here. A little wiggling, and it'll pop right out. This stupid sway bar. We might have to drop the sway bar from the back. So once the sway bar is off, it'll give us the removal or access to the actual what's it called, to the control arm. So let's get that sway bar removed. Looks like it's going to be a 13 millimeter underneath. I'll double check right now. Yep, that's a 13 millimeter. So 13 mil for this bracket right here. You guys can see that. We're going to repeat the process on both sides. Once that's done, we should be able to drop the sway bar and then pull the control arm out. So let's hop to it. Alright, so now that the sway bar is kind of out of the way, when I unbolted it, first thing you want to do is pull out this side. It's the same process on both sides, so you want to pull out this side first, and then that side will pop out along the way, or after. There we go. And now, since you can wiggle the sway bar up and down like this, God knows how long this has been in here without being serviced. Okay, so this one also has a sleeve in it. I don't know why whoever had this car before, I think they put sleeves inside to get the bolts to go in, because these aren't even the right size bolts for this car, or that's OEM, one or the other. I don't know. So because there was a sleeve on the other one too. So these are kind of stuck in there right now. To go in there with a little something and yank it out. Alright, so control arms are now out. The next thing is to do, you guys can see that right here, there's 4 of these, 1, 2, and then 2 on the other side. That's pretty much your rack and pinion mount. We need to unbolt these, and then once those are off, the rack and pinion pretty much is off the car, not bolted to the car anymore. Then the last 2 bolts are these guys right here, these 2 big ones on the opposite side. Since we took off the bolts, the rest of the bolts over here, everything else would just literally just drop with it. And then that's the whole subframe removed. We're going to take the subframe and degrease all of it. You can see there's just lots of grime on here for over the lifetime of this car. So we're gonna fix all that, clean that all off, and get ready to start mounting all the new hardware, new bolts, and give it a paint job. Because we're gonna get the whole bay ready for paint, because we're gonna shave it and paint a bunch of stuff into it. So again, 4 bolts, power steering, this one, and then the rack drops. Alright, so the 4 bolts underneath are held together by a 13 bolt and a nut. So you gotta make sure you get the nut on top and then break it loose. If not, you're just gonna sit there spinning like I was for like 5 minutes trying to figure out why the bolt wasn't coming off. So once it's all done, I took off the bolt, the subframe bolt from that side. That bolt is a 19. And it's on its way down. Drops, it drops, if not, we'll figure it out. Oh, there it goes. And it dropped. Alright, so now the rack and pinion is just floating. Subframe's off. So now that's all done. Remember, it's kind of heavy. So that's why I have everything underneath, and I was just out of the way. It's just going to drop. If it does, you saw how it went. It just falls straight down. That's all done. So now the next process is cleaning up. So we're going to degrease all of this stuff and let it soak in pretty much for a while with some purple power degreaser. Some of the best stuff is the cheap stuff, which is I get from AutoZone. Get a gallon of that stuff for I think like $5 or $6, and it works freaking miracles. So since that's all removed now, the next step is we're gonna hack off the exhaust system, and we're gonna pull the exhaust system out of the car because we no longer need it. We need the tunnel to install the Mark IV shifter. So that's another DIY coming. So we're gonna get that Mark IV shifter put in, get that all taken care of. But next step is we're gonna remove the next DIY actually is suspension removal, and all this other stuff to remove, because that's the next stuff we're gonna actually put in the car. We're gonna put new coilovers, bushings, and all that, because I want the car to have a really good rolling chassis when I actually start to tow it and take it to a shop to get painted. So alright, so next DIY for you guys is pretty much clean up, prepping, and get everything ready to go back on the car. So thanks again for watching PincheAls Garage today. Today's DIY was control arm and subframe removal. So peace out, and thanks again.